Hey, it's Rasquatch again, going over our next team of 12 for our NCAA Football Dynasty project. What we're looking at now is going to be the North Texas Mean Green, which my buddy John decided to take over. Now, he will be the defensive coordinator starting out for this team. Interesting thing about this team, although they're still a fairly lower prestige team, they've come off of a couple of good seasons leading in. They were 8-5 in 2002 and 9-4 2003, but leading into this 2004 season, they had lost, some of their talent, particularly on the offensive side. But from what I've seen here, just a brief overview, they have a pretty good team going into 2004 season. So they're predicted to go 7-5. So as we're taking a look at that, let's take a quick look at them defensively. So in the defensive line, Owasam is really good, and he should help with their pass rush. Now, John's going to run a 34-style defense, whereas they generally were a 43 team. So keep that in mind. As you can see, they're strong enough at D-tackle, particularly for the Sun Belt. But where they're going to struggle is kind of at the linebacker position. They're either average or below average in both of these areas. Their secondary, though, is where they're going to make their money. They can keep good coverages, still use some blitzes and things like that in order to stay in games. You can see Jonas Buckles, their senior, who will be a borderline draft prospect as well, coming out. And then just a good balanced safety in Harrison, who's only a sophomore, so he'll have a couple more years with the program as well. So I think, just based on what I'm seeing defensively, this 7-5 might be a bit too low, particularly for some of these teams we've seen in the Sun Belt. I think they could be even more successful than that. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the coach goals. So, taking a look at what's required, really 2,400 yards rushing and 3,400 yards passing allowed in one season. I honestly think he can meet both of those goals fairly easily, particularly playing most of the games in the Sun Belt, as it looks like defensively they're a lot better than some of the other teams I've seen. Because of his aggressive style, I can see 3 interceptions being very easy, fumble recoveries. These sacks are going to be the difficult ones, I think. Sometimes, some of these teams are run heavy, they don't pass as much, and then winning 8 games, it could be difficult, but I don't think he'll have to worry about only winning 4 games, at least not this season. And then going into recruiting, so they are still considered a 1-star school, even regardless of their record. And a lot of that is because most of their recruiting is pretty awful. Their stability has been good, like I had broke down. They've coming off some winning seasons. However, they don't have a whole lot else going for them. And as a Sun Belt team, it is harder to recruit. And then looking at team needs defensively, you can see that about half of what they need is all going to be on defense. They got to do a lot of work, particularly in the middle part of their defense, as well as to replenish their cornerbacks and safeties this year. So really the recruiting goals is going to be to work on secondary, and they could possibly bring move linebackers into the middle position if they have to. Well, that's my breakdown. Tell me what you think, but I think they're going to outperform their 7-5 record that they had in real life in 2004, just based on what I'm seeing here. So hopefully a good season for the Mean Green, and hopefully a good season for John.